Hi, I'm Kat Kramer at the Fine Arts Theater in Beverly Hills for the second annual 70 millimeter plus Sunday series. It's a mad, 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 mad world in association with Kat Kramer's Films That Changed the World. And I'm with the amazing Sandro Monetti.
Well, hello, and let me ask you a question first, Kat. There's 4 Mads in the title. I understand Stanley wanted 5 and always regretted it. So what was the story there?
Well, there's a new book where it has a lot of information about the story. And I believe many things with this movie were my father had a vision and then he had to work with the studio on it. And I think if we ever do a sequel, it should be called It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. So then you get your 5 Mads.
You know, I've never seen the same version of this movie twice because growing up in England, it's such a wonderful family film. It was always shown at Christmas and holiday Mondays, but because it's a long film, it was always edited, whether it was on the BBC or commercial network. So, and I know there was a director's cut as well. So what, in your mind, is the ideal running time and length of this movie?
Well, there's a 210, which I'm not even sure, to be honest, the running time of today, because I've been told different running times, but it has the intermission from the original.
Yeah.
And when my father, and this was way before my time, but I do know the story, when my father first premiered the film at the Cinerama Dome in November 1963, they had the interactive police calls in the during the intermission. And some woman was in the restroom and she heard that, thought it was a man there, and she came out screaming, "There's a man in the bathroom! There's a man in the bathroom!" So they took all that out, but now it's back in. So in this version, we're going to hear the interactive police calls during intermission.
Well,
so this is like the long, I think, three-hour version.
Yeah.
But originally it was like 5 hours.
Well, take me back to that premiere at the Cinerama Dome, because Stanley Kramer was known for drama. Suddenly he comes up with a screwball comedy. It seems to me, in retrospect, such a mad career left turn. What was the reaction and how nervous was he about taking such a different career step?
Well, there's a story that Bosley Crowther, who was the big critic, I believe, at the New York Times, had lunch with my father and said, "You know, Stanley, we critics get together and we talk about you filmmakers." And my father said, "Oh, yeah?" And he said, "We all think you're the most influential filmmaker of the 20th century, but we can all agree on one thing." And my dad said, "What is that?" And Bosley Crowther said, "Stanley, you could never, ever make a comedy." My dad said, "Oh, yeah?" And that's all you ever needed to do to dare my father. So that's how it came about.
He proved the doubters wrong.
Oh, yes.
And the fact that we're here today still celebrating this movie shows that it's a timeless comedy as well that really endures.
And, you know, it's for families, as you said. There's no dirty jokes. There's no bathroom humor. Families can see it. A lot of young people are just now discovering it. And what I want them to see today is, you know, how this movie is relevant today and new people seeing it. So you get the old diehard fans, you get, you know, film buffs that have seen it, and then you get new people seeing it for the first time, and it spans generations. And I really feel that Terry Thomas, you being a Brit, is one of there's so many in this ensemble blockbuster, but he's a real shining light. And his birthday is coming up July 10th, would have been his birthday. So we're celebrating him also because of the 250th anniversary of the United States being this weekend. And he was not the first choice for the role of Hawthorne.
No?
I believe it was Peter Sellers.
Oh, okay, yes.
He worked with him a lot.
Yeah.
And also there was a couple of other British comedians that William Rose had in mind. But the story in the book, for those who are going to be reading the book, talks about Terry Thomas turning down the role. And then he was on a plane going to back to London. And he decided by the time he landed in London that he was going to accept the role. So he called my father from the airport and said, "I'm doing it." Then he had to fly back to the U.S. to get costume fittings. He didn't even stay in London. He boarded a plane back. So do you have any stories or memories of when you first saw it?
Well, I do, because despite all the huge A-list stars in this movie, in Britain, where I grew up, it was always the Terry Thomas film. It's a mad, mad, mad world. And so and he plays, of course, the upper class rogue, the lovable cad, the bounder. he built a whole career out of playing this part again and again and again. And I've always thought, as someone who covers Hollywood for the BBC, the mark of a star is always someone who's immediately identifiable as playing the similar parts, like sort of John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, all that Tom Cruise even, you might say. They lean into what the audience likes to see them in. And so he was always this upper crust, posh English gent. But if you know something about Terry's life, that was very different. He was actually born into poverty and actually died in poverty as well. But throughout the 50s and 60s, he cultivated this sort of image, and he sort of trained his voice to sound posher or better educated than he actually was. And it turned out that that voice, that attitude, was his fortune and his legacy.
That's an amazing story. Yeah. And the fact that he worked with Peter Sellers, who I'm a Peter Sellers fanatic, and that he really paved his own path, so he was his own, his own person and wasn't like a copycat. Also, he got very friendly with Ethel Merman, and that story's in the book. What's so amazing about this book, and I'm in the middle of reading it, I tell people I've read the whole thing, but that's only because I've skimmed it. It's only like 350-something pages.
Hey, a long movie deserves a long book.
Exactly. I don't think it's quite that long, but with all the index and everything.
Yeah.
But it talks about how Terry Thomas felt like a real outsider, being the only Brit. And he felt all the other comedians were on all the time, and he had problems acclimating to them, but he did end up becoming friends with Ethel, and there was a lot of parties that were given, and Terry was always at these parties, and so that's really interesting to see that when you read the book.
Something that's also very interesting for those of us who live in Los Angeles, and for anyone who wants to visit it, is that the Hollywood Museum contains a very special artifact from this movie. Do you want to tell everybody what that is if they go and visit?
They have the dummies, dummies of some of the characters, and then there's a figurines with them falling off the ladder up on the building.
They're miniatures.
Yeah, miniatures.
So it's amazing because it really shows the artistry, because you watch that. You watch it in the film and you never think it's all miniatures. I mean, the Hollywood Museum thing is fascinating, but it spoiled the whole reality of the movie for me at the same time. But that's movie magic, I suppose. A great special effect.
I believe my mother loaned the dummies to the museum. We'd used them for one of the anniversaries at the Cinerama Dome. Yeah. That's the thing. The movie was... My father had the Cinerama Dome built specifically for Mad World and Cinerama. Wow. And we're all very sad that it's not open yet, but this is still a great palace to see it in, a great cinema. But there is a lot of, frustration over the fact they've been teasing everyone since the pandemic. We're reopening, and I'm part of the campaign to get it reopened, to see it again in Cinerama. But,
well, here we are.
It's still gorgeous.
Here we are at the Fine Arts, and the last time I was in this theatre, Daniel Day-Lewis was sitting in that seat there. It was a preview screening of the film Phantom Thread.
Oh, yes.
And he was disguised in a wig, a fake nose, and a baseball cap, so no one would recognize him. But the fact that he had publicists and assistants bringing him drinks and food throughout the whole movie was a bit distracting. So I thought, that's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, so he was doing his disguise.
Watching him, and so the movie itself, this movie palace, has a wonderful history. So it's a great place to select for this screening. So explain more about how the movie will be presented today.
In 70 millimeter Panavision, Ultra Panavision, and it's a show print. And because they say we're sold out, we'll find out, but it's sold out. We are having another screening where the Fine Arts is on Saturday, this coming week at 1:30 for those who were either out of town, missed it, couldn't come or couldn't get in. They'll be able to see it again in the same Ultra Panavision.
Yeah. And how proud does it make you? I mean, your father's sort of many accomplishments, but one of the greatest accomplishments is this gift of laughter that he has given families for so many years. So how does that sort of hit you in the guts of pride,
Well, his very first film that he produced, so this is New York, in 1948, was a comedy, but they made the mistake of releasing it in the Midwest, and they didn't really know much about New York culture, so it flopped. But then it had a new life after that, and we had it restored, and it played the Tribeca Film Festival, and it became a huge success a few years ago, and they had multiple screenings.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm so happy you're here today. This is going to be a blast.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a madly enjoyable time with you, Kat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.